and welcome to Saints Live with me, Kenzie Benali.
And me, Steve Forbes.
Well, a pleasure to have your company as always. And of course, the Saints are back in yellow and blue today as they take on the Bees at the Brentford Community Stadium. And with us throughout the afternoon is former Saints captain Dean Hammond and NBC Sports lead soccer writer Joe Prince-Wright. Really lovely to have you both on the show as always.
Yeah, great to see you, chaps. Now, we're going to have the team news in around about 15 minutes' time. We know that Tino Livramento is the only guaranteed absentee. Alex McCarthy did play 90 minutes for the B team last week, but Ralph has suggested that it may be a bit too early for a return to Premier League action. So, Dean, last weekend's lineup saw just the one change from that draw against Brighton. Do you think Ralph will stick to a similar starting 11 for today?
If I'm honest, Steve, I'm not sure. I think Ralph's shown in the past that he likes to change the team, likes to, at times, catch the opposition by surprise, whether that's a change in shape or a change in personnel. We always say every week he has the options within the squad, which is a blessing for him. There's players that are in form and others that are potentially not. I think the biggest thing that he would have considered this week probably is the shape of the team. Last week he went back to the 4-2-2-2 formation, which is the most familiar one, the formation we're really used to. But if you look back at the result against Brentford earlier in the season, we played 3-5-2 and were very, very dominant and put a very good performance in. So has he been thinking about that? Does that suit the personnel he's going to select today? Does that suit playing against Brentford? And obviously players in the squad that would want a recall to the first team and maybe expecting it. So, does Brozier come back into the team? I think when he's at his best, he's the best striker that we've got. He's an exceptional player, but he's been a little bit in and out of late. I'd like to see Nathan Tella continue playing. I think that run of form to the end of the season will be really good for him. Stuart Armstrong, I think, would be a good choice coming back into the team because he has that little bit more creativity, that little bit more craft in those attacking third areas, that final third. We can be a little bit, I use the word again, a little bit cuter to find that opening of that pass. He has that ability. I think that's been missed a little bit of late. So there's definite options. And Lianco, maybe he will come back into the team defensively because we've conceded a few goals of late. So it's great for the managers he's got options, but I think he'll be very, very aware that he'll want to finish the season strong. And today is an opportunity against a good Brentford team, but an opportunity to win. So I'm intrigued. I'm intrigued to see what Ralph goes with today, I must admit.
Well, let's get Joe's thoughts on this then. And Joe is joining us from gloriously sunny Greece. It certainly is all right for some. Thanks for pausing your holiday to join us, Joe. What are your thoughts on how Saints will line up today?
Yeah, it's lovely to join you guys from here in Greece. I said I could see Albania, so hopefully Brozier stars today, and I can hear some cries across the bay of happiness from their fans. But I echo what Dean said there, really. I think 3-5-2 is the way to go to play against Brentford, to match up with Tony and Buemo and Erickson. Those front three cause a lot of problems, so having that extra body in defence there, Lianco, if he comes in to play alongside Bednarak and Salisu, a good way to go, and maybe an extra defensive-minded midfielder. Diallo's come in at certain times this season, and he did against Brentford as well earlier this season, done really well just to help shore things up and kind of just clogging up midfield there and trying not to get Christian Erickson on the ball as much as possible. That's the key for Saints today. So, we were all at the Arsenal game, obviously, recently. It wasn't the most expansive, fluid display, but there was defensive solidity there, and I think Saints need to get back to that after some of the most recent performances, because Brentford are very aggressive. But if you can get to half-time, at least level there, I think Saints would be in a really good opportunity and a really good chance to get something, because Brentford do go for it, especially in the second half, roared on by their fans there at that lovely little stadium. So I think pace on the break with Nathan Tella, Redmond maybe starting centrally underneath one of Brozier or Adams might be the way to go, to just kind of get some combination play and fluidity going in the final third. So yeah, but again, I don't really know what to expect. Like Dean mentioned, it's a weird time of the season, late in the season, where certain players may need an opportunity to show what they can do next season. But I'm sure Ralph has got a few tricks up his sleeve today, let's say that.
Well, it was a disappointing result against Crystal Palace last time out, but Southampton did take the lead through Oriol Romeu, and he's been a much more attacking influence in recent weeks, hasn't he, Dean?
He has, he's brought that side to his game. I still think his game is evolving, even I think he's 30 now. I think that's his second goal of the season, but he has been a bigger threat from the central position and midfield position. I think that's to do with the partnership he has with James Ward-Prowse. They're very flexible. They can both play both roles, whether that's attacking or defensively. But Oriol Romeu is a brilliant player. We can see from his header against Crystal Palace, he's a threat from set pieces now, and he tacks the ball very, very well. His two opportunities he had against Burnley, where you'd probably criticise as too strong, but ask him to maybe do a little bit better. But he is going in those areas now, and he's changed his game as well. I love seeing him driving through the middle of the midfield and holding onto the ball a bit longer, having a few more touches and looking for a forward pass, and not always looking for that safe pass, which he does superbly well, by the way. He keeps possession brilliantly, but at times this season, I think he's gone for that bigger diagonal pass, that pass that potentially creates an opportunity, and taken more responsibility in that role because he has that ability, and taken more shots on as well. Not always been on target, but he's willing to do it, and it's the willingness to do it. But he's a fantastic player. I remember his pass, one of the passes of the seasons actually against Brentford for a Broja's goal, when he gets himself on the half turn. His awareness in possession is brilliant, and just slides that ball in for Broja, splits the Brentford defence open. So can he bring that to his game today and continue that? But he is a real threat. The two central midfield players are so important for Southampton, and we've seen that during the majority of the season, and their stats will show that as well. So yeah, it's good to see, because you need goals from everywhere in the team, but it's not always goals, it's assists as well, or maybe the pass before the assist. So the most recent weeks, he's been more progressive, really has.
Yeah, he has indeed. Well, Joe, Zaha's late strike did, of course, win it for Palace. Late heartbreak for us. But Southampton did fail to register a single shot on target in the second half. What was it that we were lacking in the final third that day?
Kenzie, I think we're about to see in these clips here, it's just a bit of lack of movement. It seemed like Saints were just a bit too easy to mark. There wasn't a lot of direct running, and just a lack of combination play. I think if you look back to the best period of the season for Southampton, it was when Shea Adams and Amanda Broja were linking up and dragging defences all over the place. And that was creating opportunities for midfielders like Al-Yunusi, Armstrong, and others to exploit. But in a lot of these clips here, we're seeing that there's not many men committed forward, or if they are, they're not running in behind. They're not creating openings for others. So I think we saw against Palace, it was quite easy for them to defend and play against Southampton. And maybe, again, that's part of it, where you've seen Shane Long's just come into the team recently. He hasn't played with Shea Adams a lot. Those combination plays, I think they come over time and develop over time, don't they, when you're used to playing with certain players. So some of Ralph's comments in the week may have seemed a bit harsh about quality or lack of that and not quite being good enough. But I think it's quite true. That's really what's stopping Southampton take their next step to being a top 10 team in the Premier League, is that extra bit of quality when it matters at both ends of the pitch, but particularly we've seen in recent weeks going forward.
Right, well, let's have a look back now when Brentford visited St Mary's in January, when a strong performance from the Saints secured all 3 points.
The owners of Southampton Football Club, it's the first game of a new era at St Mary's. And here comes Ward-Prowse trying to pluck across that near post. 1-0! Saints have the lead. Ward-Prowse takes plenty of credit, and it might be that rare goal machine, Jan Bednarek. Now when Mbeumo down the right, crosses into the penalty area, and that volley will put Brentford level. Vitali Janelt, the German, met it a treat. Looks for a 1-2 with Redmond instead. Then the dummy. Perrault crosses it. Tony slow, and Romeu volleys it over the bar from 12 yards. Here comes the corner from the right. Heads go up, it just misses Lianco. Down it comes, and the volley comes in, and the goalkeeper can't get there. And Ibrahima Diallo has his first ever Premier League goal. He's got down too slow, hasn't he, Dave? But it hits the post, Dave, I think. Yeah, and then comes off the goalie's hand. Romeu did well. And Salisu clears back to Romeo. That's good play. And that ball from Romeo is a beauty. And Brozier's on goal. He's in behind Janssen. Brozier into the box. And he slides it in for the third. It hits Fernandez's foot, but it bobbles over the line. Brentford are trying to break, but Saints, thankfully, from their own corner, rush back. And there's no flag up yet. And Adams is in the box. And Adams has scored. And the flag stays down. And the ball got thrown forward by Southampton. And the referee, Stuart Atwell, says enough is enough.
There we go. It's that win over Brentford at St Mary's, a result that saw us jump up to 11th in the table, leapfrogging our opponents then. Dean, who were your standout performance from that evening?
I think it was a brilliant team performance, and it was a great result as well to score 4 goals at home. The first game with the new ownership at the club, so there was a buzz and excitement around the club in terms of the atmosphere. So it was a good game for the team. But obviously, Brozier was in form at the time, took his goal very, very well. Just really composed and looks that threat in behind. Diallo came into the team. Joe mentioned that previously. Did he get a goal? Did he not get a goal? I'd give it to him, but came back off the post and hit the goalkeeper. But it was a good, really strong team performance with lots of energy, high energy. They pressed Brentford really, really well. A real threat all night. So individually, Brozier, James Ward-Prowse was very, very good again. As always, Diallo came into the team. Nathan Redmond played very, very well. So a good performance, and it's what's probably going to be needed today. I think, of late, the second half performance against Brighton was very, very good. But the first half probably dipped under what we expect. And then last week was okay. So I think performance today is really, really important. If we can take the same attitude, the same mentality as we did at St Mary's in that 4-1 victory, I think that will be really refreshing today. And I think that's what's needed from the players. But it was a good evening. And obviously seeing the strikers score, Shay Adams comes on off the bench, makes an impact and gets a goal. And it's a very, very good goal. Bednarak scoring from a set piece, which Southampton have been strong from this season. So there was lots of positives from that game. I think it took us up to 10th, 11th in the table. So Southampton were in a strong position today. So look, a win against Brentford today will take us above them and actually could take us, I think, into 10th place as well. So it could be repeating history. So let's look forward to the game.
Joe, Dean's just mentioned Bednarek's goal that night. He, of course, started in a back three with Salisu and Lianco. Is that something you could see Ralph opting for today?
I think so, Kenzie. I think it's definitely something that should be in a consideration, if not from the start, but maybe during the game if Saints are ahead, trying to hold on late on, because Mbeumo and Tony are just very mobile. They stretch defenses all over the place. Obviously, Christian Erickson wasn't around last time Saints played Brentford, and he'll be threading those little balls through and trying to get on the ball just in front of the back four or back three, whatever it is today. So that just gives you a bit of extra cover. So, yeah, it's really difficult to see. I think Saints potentially look a bit more stable defensively with a man extra and a 3-man defence. But then it also maybe impacts their build-up play a little bit compared to when they're so used to having 4 at the back, and Salisu will come out with it and link up, and one of the holding midfielders will drop in. So it did work well against Arsenal. And I think we've probably seen that Saints' current centre-backs actually probably enjoy more playing in a 3 at times. So I don't know if recruitment-wise, if that's a long-term plan to maybe play a different system. But they've been very flexible tactically this season under Hasenhüttl. Also, I think we could see them change in-game and change some of the tactics. And this team can do that. They're much more flexible than they used to be.
Well, it's almost time for us to bring you the team news today. But before we do that, let's get the thoughts of the fans. Plenty of comments coming into us, which is always great to see. Matt has said Adam Armstrong will start and bag a hat-trick today. That's said with so much confidence. I love that. The Saints number 1 has said must win. Come on, you Reds. Alfie Robinson, hello to you. He said come on the Saints. Louis Jeffrey says I reckon another Prowsey free kick today. And we've got a comment here from Sean Kershaw saying looking forward to my first trip trip to Brentford after missing out on Griffin Park in League One. Thanks, Dad. Come on, you Reds. Well, I'm going to pause with the comments now because we can now bring you the Southampton starting 11. A few changes to the team that took on Crystal Palace. So let's run through that Saints 11 in full then. In goal, it's Fraser Forster. The back four consists of Carl Walker-Peters, Mohamed Salisu, Jan Bednarek and Roman Perro. In the midfield, it's our captain, James Ward-Prowse, and Ibrahima Diallo, who comes in for Oriol Romeu. Out wide, it's Nathan Redmond and Stuart Armstrong. And changes up top too. Leading the line today is Adam Armstrong and Armando Broja. Plenty to talk about on the bench as well, actually. The Saints subs are as follows. Alex McCarthy, Jan Valerie Lianco, Oriol Romeu, Nathan Teller, Moi Elianusi, Shay Adams, Shane Long, and 16-year-old Tyler Dibbling did travel with the squad today and is on the bench. And of course, he caught people's eye after scoring a first half hat-trick for Southampton's B team against Newcastle last month. So, Joe, let's come to you first then. Some changes to digest in that starting 11, but also it'd be great to have a word on Tyler on the bench today, and also the return of Alex McCarthy to the squad too.
Yeah, great to see Tyler coming in. Obviously, the academy worked so hard to produce players, and you can see here, incredible hat-trick he scored for the B team recently. We are not watching replays. These goals are all very similar, but incredible talent. And yeah, I think I like the team. Dean mentioned it before. Having Adam Armstrong coming in, he deserves a start. He's been the player that's been the odd man out. But Diblin here, I just hope he gets on, because he seems like the kind of player who can really take his chance and his opportunities. So yeah, really excited as a Saints fan to see another good product coming through the academy. But I like the lineup. Diallo, he deserves a chance as well in midfield. And yeah, a lot of creativity and sort of directness in the final third, which we talked about, has been missing in recent weeks. So yeah, I like the lineup.
Well, Dean, what are your thoughts on this starting 11 today then? I know when we spoke pre-team news, you were calling to see Adam Armstrong and Broja. So how pleasing is it to see that partnership up top today?
I'm looking forward to it, Kenzie. I don't think they've had that many opportunities to play together as a partnership. If you look at them individually, both technically very, very good, both quick, got a good turn of pace, are willing to run in behind. And like Joe's just mentioned there, Adam Armstrong's almost been the odd one out, really, but has the ability to score goals. I believe at this level, if he can get a run of games, if he can bring that confidence to his game, the belief that he had, it's a different level, but he had a Blackburn in the Championship. He's proven that he can score a number of goals, 20 plus, maybe even near the 30s. So I think he could be the player that Southampton have potentially missed this season. Someone you'd think would hopefully get you 15 to 20 goals. So I'm sure he'll be eager to play. And when he gets them opportunities, he is an instinctive finisher. He's a very, very good finisher. So I'm looking forward to seeing those two play and how they combine, because you want strikers to be selfish, but can they play together as well? Can there be some combinations? Can there be some understanding between the two of them? So it's an attacking team. So I'm looking forward to playing. Lots of creativity in the team, which is great. Nathan Redmond with his dribbling ability, Stuart Armstrong with, like I mentioned, with his creativity and his craft. So let's hope that this team can create chances that potentially we've been missing of late. So tough game today against Brentford, really is, because they're in good form. They have, and they've had a fantastic season. But with this Southampton team, they play with that belief, that confidence and that high energy. This team could be really, really effective today.
Just on the striking situation, Dean, obviously we're seeing Adam Armstrong come back into the fold, but none of our four strikers have scored in the Premier League since January, which is a bit of a worrying fact. So what do they need to do today to get scoring again?
Well, it surprised me, Steve, when we spoke about that. I think it's to do with confidence. I think the change of shape at times has probably prevented Southampton from being as fluent as they were at times this year when they were creating lots of chances. Broja's 19, 20 years of age, so he's going to have dips of form. Shay Adams as well has had injuries, COVID in and out. So you look at from those point of views. But if you look at the goal here from Broja, what he does well and what Southampton do very well when I think they're at the best is they run in behind. They play on that last defender. They stretch the defence. They ask questions of the opposition defence. And maybe we haven't been doing that as late. Maybe being a little bit more comfortable, coming to feet a little bit more, trying to combine the play. Again, Shay Adams' goal, he's running in behind, he's anticipating that pass. And it's not only the strikers, you have to look at other players, midfield players. Are we creating enough? Are we looking for that pass? Are we playing a little bit safe? And you look at the team as well. James Ward-Prowse has scored 10 goals, I think, in all competitions, 8 assists this season. But the player behind him with the second amount of assists is Nathan Redmond with 6. And he has not played much of late. I know he's been in last week and the week before, but, you know, he does create a lot and he does create opportunities. So it's definitely a team thing. It's not down to the individuals. But I think these two, well, Shay Adams we're talking about and Brozier, really, they can score goals. But like I mentioned previously, Adam Armstrong, I think if we can get him firing, I think the investment that the club made in him was really, really good. Money well spent, because I think he can be the striker that Southampton are looking for. So there's lots of factors, Steve, if I'm honest, lots of factors. But it happens. It happens to players, whatever position you're playing, differ form, team not winning, not creating as many chances. But we judge them strikers on goals, unfortunately. But they do bring different things to the team as well.
Well, hopefully we can see a rejuvenated Adam Armstrong today. And I have to apologise, I did do our strikers a disservice. I said January, it's actually February since our 4 strikers have scored. So apologies for that. It was Southampton's 2021-22 Player Awards during the week. And James Ward-Prowse was the big winner on the night. He scooped the Fans Player of the Year Award, the Players Player of the Year Award, and Goal of the Season for his free kick against Wolves. Joe, would he have been your player of the season? And what have you made of James Ward-Prowse this year?
100% my player of the season, Steve. And running out of words to describe just how good he's been this season. He's taken his game to a whole new level. I think particularly in possession of the ball, it wasn't that he was bad to start with on the ball with his distribution. But it seemed to me that just missing out on the Euros, Gareth Southgate must have said to him, I want you to go away and work on shielding the ball, controlling the tempo of the game, like Declan Rice, like Calvin Phillips do. And he's added a whole new string to his bow. I mean, we're seeing these great free kick goals here, and they're just second nature for him, right? It's every time he gets over the ball, we know he's going to at least put it on target. But it seems like he really worked hard in the summer after not getting in that Euro squad. And to have 14 goal involvements in the Premier League, just one behind last season already. It's just an incredible season for him. And the free kick against Wolves was just sensational. And it was so different to his usual free kicks. So I love the variety that we're seeing and all these goals. And just to his game, I think he's really reinvented himself several times during his career. If you actually look at he's kind of a luxury player to bring off the bench when he played under Ronald Koeman in the early days. And then he kind of became a bit of a scrapper in Ralph's early days. And now he's just a really well-rounded player that can do the dirty work, but has the quality to make the difference. So deserved winner of all those awards. And I'm sure if we had any more awards to hand out, we'd be handing them to him as well.
Yeah, what a player he is. I don't think the trophy cabinet at home will be big enough at this rate, but as you say, hugely deserved. And apparently it was a unanimous vote from the players when he was voted Players' Player, which isn't surprising, really. I mean, Dean, how big an achievement is that? And also it'd be interesting to hear if you think anyone else was deserving for that award.
Well, I agree with Joe, and I agree with selection. I think James Ward-Prowse was the outstanding candidate, if I'm honest. I think he's been fantastic all season, mainly due to his consistency, really. It's been all season. It's not just been parts. You could look at other players. Livramento's come in, has been fantastic. Brozier at times has been unplayable. Salisu, again, defensively, he had a spell of about 2 months where he was brilliant, absolutely brilliant. Fraser Forster, of late has been amazing. Some of the saves he has made has been a real presence. So I think there's been other players that have had moments during the season where they've been exceptional, but Prowse for the whole season has been absolutely brilliant. The goals he scored, he's just the star man of the team. He's captain, he leads by example. Joe's right. He's that all-round, all-action midfield player now. Very, very good in possession. Defensively takes the responsibility and does his duties as well. Scores some spectacular goals. His reputation is building all the time. And he's really exciting to watch as well. He's scoring more goals. I mentioned it before, 10 goals now, 8 assists. So that's 18 goal involvements for Southampton. That is fantastic for a central midfield player that can do it all. That is brilliant. And some of those goals have been unbelievable. And some of the assists as well, the 2 crosses against Tottenham, unbelievable on the move and the whipping and the accuracy he gets with them. So, and I think he can get better. I really, really do. The only issue, I hope it's with Southampton, because he is an exceptional player. But he loves the club. He's playing for England as well. So there's no reason for him to leave. But he has been an outstanding player this season and led by example. And I've said it before, I think the captaincy has improved him as a player. That added responsibility, I think he's taken that on his shoulders, and it's just grown him as a person and as a footballer.
Yeah, he has been fantastic, and long may that continue. Now, Tino Livramento took home the President's Choice Award, picked by Terry Payne. A worthy winner in your eyes, Joe?
Absolutely. Perfect recipient for this. I mean, Tino deserves something from his stunning first season in the Premier League. If we have to pinch ourselves and remind ourselves he's still a teenager. Just incredible. We're seeing the surge in runs, just no fear in his game. I think that was the big takeaway from this season, that he came into the Premier League and showed absolutely no fear whatsoever. Obviously, the injury is a big blow, but he'll come back from that stronger. We've spoken about that in the past. He's got a great team around him, and yeah, he's going to come back even better. But I've rarely seen a player have this kind of impact as a teenager. And as a Southampton fan, I think he really, truly embodies the Southampton way. Even though he came from Chelsea's academy, he's a young player. As I said, he's fearless. He's always fighting. We can see defensively, does all the work, but then he has quality in the final third when he does get the ball to use it in the correct way. And he's a great young pro, great young role model. And just the way he speaks and others speak about him, I'm sure this is just the first of many awards for him, and he's got a bright future in the game. But you guys know how much I love Tino Livramento, and yeah, I'll be in the Northern at the end of the season singing his name loud and proud.
Still got that poster on your wall, Joe?
Oh, absolutely. I put pajamas as well.
Now that I've got to see. Oh no, we all love Tino. What a player he is, and as you say, just remarkable that he is still a teenager. Well, let's shift the focus back onto today's game then, shall we? Now, Dean, since we last faced Brentford, Christian Erickson has joined the Bees. They've only lost 2 of the games that he's featured in. It's fair to say that the impact a player of his quality has had on their side is pretty evident for us all to see.
Yeah, he's had a huge impact on the team with his performances, with his story as well, you know, as a human being, what he's been through and how he's come back into football. I've listened to some interviews with him. I've heard people speak about him. He just looks like a happy person now, who's very, very grateful. And you can see that in his performances as well. So you imagine having that type of person and player around the training ground, how he can help the younger players, the experiences he can show them, and he can talk about with them. But he has that quality. He's a brilliant player, and the way he's responded is, you have to give him so much credit to come back. It just shows his love for football. So look, he's been brilliant for Brentford, but I think Brentford have been brilliant for him as well. It's been the perfect kind of relationship between both, and it will be interesting to see where he ends up next season, whether he stays or whether the bigger clubs come sniffing around, because he looks so relaxed when he plays. He looks like he's just enjoying his football, almost like a kid again when he's going out and playing. I'm just going to go and play. I'm going to work really, really hard. I'm going to enjoy my 90 minutes of football. Appreciate that I'm playing in the Premier League, but you know, he has that quality. His vision is up there with the best, I think, in the Premier League, and his composure on the ball, always looking for that forward pass. And that helps. When you have a player like that in your team, you know you can always give them the ball, wherever they are, if they're under pressure, and it helps you. And you look to them as well as talisman, a bit like we spoke about James Ward-Prowse. Southampton looked to him to perform and take the lead, and Erickson is that for Brentford. So they've been very, very lucky, but I'm sure he's grateful for the opportunity they've given him, because I'm sure many other clubs wouldn't have done when they could have done.
Yeah, well, with or without Christian Erickson, Brentford have had some fantastic results this season, the best of the promoted teams. Joe, what have you made of their first year in the Premier League?
Excellent. I think they've added so much to the Premier League, Steve. I think everyone's sort of favourite second team, right? I feel like if they're on, people switch on the TV and want to see them play, and the atmosphere. And as we mentioned, Erickson's kicked them on in the second half of the season. They've been really unlucky with injuries in the middle part of the season when it looked like the wheels had come off a little bit, but some big defensive injuries. Obviously, David Raya, the goalkeeper, was injured. So that was the reason for that. And I think we're seeing really, obviously, a resurgence in recent weeks with 5 wins in their last 8 games. It's incredible. But it's sort of the real Brentford now we're getting back to that they were at the start of the season. So been lucky enough to go to the stadium in my role of NBC a few times this season. Great atmosphere. I think I said it to you guys as well. It reminds me of the old Dell. It really does. So tight to the pitch. Really good little atmosphere. And they pushed the big boys all the way at home, thinking about, should have beaten Tottenham recently, drew with Liverpool. I was at the game on the opening day of the season when they beat Arsenal. They should have got something against Chelsea. So it's a really, really difficult place to go, and their fans get behind them. So for me, Brentford proved that they belong in the Premier League. The style of play, I think, is better suited to the Premier League than the Championship. So they obviously took a few years to get out of there. But the recruitment and the style of play and players that they have, it's really added, I think, an extra dimension to the Premier League to have a team like them that is, a relatively small team, but they're taking on the big boys with a lot of flair, attractive football, and just a really good feel-good story. And I think now's the hard bit, though, right? Because that element of surprise is gone a little bit. And how do they reinvent themselves? Ralph said it in the week about Leeds this season, Sheffield United the season before that. It's all well and good having a really good first season in the Premier League, but then how do you sustain that? And it's going to be a tough part for Brentford, but every Brentford fan I've spoken to is just absolutely loving life right now. And fair play to them, because they have really been a breath of fresh air to the Premier League.
Yeah, they have indeed, but hopefully nothing for them to celebrate later today. And it seems the fans are certainly feeling optimistic ahead of this one. Let's get to a few more comments from those of you tuning in today. Beverly, hello to you. She's joining us all the way from Jacksonville in the US. Thanks for your company. She says, come on, you Saints. Ling Tai is also with us. I reckon a Saints 2-1 win. Thanks for that. Watt says, happy for Adam Armstrong. Hope Dibbling gets his debut too. Harry also talking about the 16-year-old, saying Tyler Dibbling on the bench. Love that. Hopefully he can get some minutes. James JD, thanks for this. They said, come on, you Saints. Comment here from Saint Adam 1981. Happy to see Armstrong starting. Hope he takes his chance. Also great to see Dibbling on the bench. And Vishnal has predicted a 2-1 Saints win. He thinks it will be Perrault and Shane Long as a super sub with the goals.
Great stuff. Well, it's time to get your thoughts before kickoff, guys. So what we're going to need is your score predictions as well. So I hope you've had enough time to think about those. Joe, let's come to you first.
I'm going 2-1 to Southampton. I just feel like this is the day for a really big win in the top 10 push. And I'm going to even double down and say Dibbling's going to come off the bench and score the winner. How about that?
Wow.
What a story that would be. So I'm going with that.
That would be pretty special indeed. I mean, wow, I think we're all hoping for that now. Dean, let's get your thoughts then. As we've just been discussing, it's obviously been a fantastic season for the Bees. How are you feeling ahead of kickoff?
Well, I can't beat that from Joe. Dibbling coming off the bench to score the winner on his debut. That would be fantastic. But again, I think from the team selection, I'm pretty confident. I really am. I watched the Brentford Man United game, and Man United caused Brentford so many problems with their runs in behind and their movement in between the three centre halves and the wing backs. There's usually space there. So with the team selections, Ralph gone with Adam Armstrong, with Brozier, their running power in behind. Stuart Armstrong coming back into the team. Nathan Redmond. Building up his physical condition and getting up his max sharpness to running with the ball. I'm going to go for a 2-0 Southampton win today. I'm going to see, I think it's going to be an entertaining game. Brentford are going to play with that free spirit as they always do, enjoying their first season in the Premier League. But Southampton on the counter of that twice today in Brozier, and I'm going to get Nathan Redmond get a goal. So I'm going to name the goal scorers as well. So but not quite as good as Joe, but I'll go with the goal scorers as well.
Well, thank you very much, guys. I'm sure we'll all have a keen eye on Ralph's substitution choices this afternoon. Around about 45 minutes to go until kick-off at the Brentford Community Stadium. Can the Saints leapfrog their opponents and push on up the table, or can Brentford put a sting in Southampton's top 10 hopes? Either way, join us after the match on the final whistle, where we'll have all the post-match reaction and analysis. Enjoy the game, and we'll see you then.
Bye for now.